Welcome back, chat. This is pretty epic here. Pretty damn epic. Let's wait for some people to get in here, but right now we're waiting for President Putin to hop off his jet. And we're waiting for President Donald Trump to hop off his jet. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens here. Let's wait and see. Hello. We're waiting. We're waiting for Putin to hop off his jet. And we're waiting for Donald Trump right here to hop off his jet. So it's only a matter of time, and it's just a wait game right now. Just waiting to see what happens. So yeah, that'll be interesting. But let me pause this live stream real quick. I'm back. Who we got in here?
And Martha, there's been
come out of this meeting remains to be. This is Zelensky's country, and he is not here. And in fact,
boo-hoo! Zelensky is too busy taking his favorite substances. Oh, President Trump is with Putin right now. Look at this, guys. Look at this. This is badass.
Of course, remember the summit between these two leaders during President Trump's first term.
Wow.
They met, and now they meet again.
Wow, that is iconic.
The eyes of the world on this moment. Particularly because
I love the President of the United States.
Of that conflict, the war that has taken so many lives on both sides of the conflict hangs in the balance here. We have been told that President Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet together. They will each have two high-level aides from their cabinets, their administrations in the room as well. So there'll be 6 people in the room, 3 and 3. Steve Witkoff, and there you see a flyover, the B-2 flyover. That was expected. You can see the F-22s there and some of the cutaways from the cameras lining that red carpet. Obviously, you know what a photo op is, and that's the photo op.
Damn, that's epic. Damn!
They're greeting these two leaders. That handshake now will be seen around the world, if not on live television, moments later across social media. I think the reporter's trying. The question was, how can the U.S. trust your word? That question obviously posed to Vladimir Putin. Obviously, they did not engage.
They're hopping in that bulletproof.
That unfolds on their way to this summit. They are expected to show us at some point the two leaders meeting in that initial summit. What comes after that summit, we're told, is what they're calling a working lunch or a working session of some sort, during which there would be a larger delegation.
Both Putin and Trump are in this SUV. Damn, they're riding together.
Saying on his way to Anchorage that what he wants today, what he wants coming out of this summit is a ceasefire. He wants it rapidly. He acknowledges, I don't know if I'm going to see it today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Ian Pannell, our chief foreign correspondent, he's live for us from Kyiv, Ukraine, and as we look at these two world leaders, we cannot forget And you've interviewed them countless times, and so have I, when we brought the broadcast to Ukraine. The Ukrainian families who've been caught in the middle of all of this, who've wondered about the future of their country.
Just imagine how Trump and Putin are talking right now in the back of that SUV.
Relocated to Alaska, of all places, now watching.
You can see Trump in the back yapping his big lips.
Trump's attempts to try to get a ceasefire unfold. We cannot forget the Ukrainian people caught in the middle here.
Yeah, very right, David. I mean, Ukrainians are watching, Ukrainians are hoping, but I think if you ask many people what they think of these images that we're looking at now, they will tell you that they feel sick to their stomach. Vladimir Putin is a man who has been charged with war crimes. His troops have been accused of carrying out.
Hit that like and subscribe button, guys.
20% of Ukrainian land of wantonly.
There they go, President Putin and President Trump. Oh, there's Putin in the back. There's Trump right next to him. Damn! Damn, boys!
Remarkable scene right there. Vladimir Putin waving from inside the beast, as we call it, inside the President of the United States motorcade. John Carl, our chief Washington correspondent, watching this unfold, also with us here today. A remarkable moment.
Nope, this is in Alaska.
Into the car with the American president. Obviously, a very sensitive vehicle protecting the president of the United States. They will travel now to this summit together. It would appear.
I mean, Donald Trump, some will question whether he knows statecraft. He does, David, know stagecraft. That was a made-for-television moment.
Man, this is amazing. Trump and Putin just hopped in the same whip. They're driving down the street together.
Getting into the presidential limo. There have been so many critics of this summit over the past several days.
That's the beast. Look, there's Putin in the back.
Welcome Vladimir Putin to American soil. How could he give him the honor of meeting with an American president? They will no doubt have a similar reaction when they see that picture.
Damn, son, damn. Hit that like, subscribe button. If you guys have any questions, comments, drop some super chats, spam the like button, double tap that
He
screen.
has brought the Russian president to American soil. This is a home game for Donald Trump. He has brought him to American land. He has done that flyover of the B-2 bomber, just like the B-2 bombers that took out the air campaign against the Iranian nuclear facility, walking by American firepower and getting into the most sensitive personal vehicle in America.
Bruh, Trump and Putin are meeting right now.
And coming into that limousine, Donald Trump sees this as, you know, you're on my turf here. I'm the president. I'm effectively the world leader, and let's go. It's just the stagecraft again. The stagecraft reminds me much of how he handled his meeting, especially the first meeting. He had two of them with Kim Jong-un. Another one. How could you meet with the North Korean dictator? How could you give him the honor of a meeting with the American president? I think Donald Trump looks at the critics and he says, look, I'm taking an entirely different approach. Your approach has failed. I'm confident mine won't.
John Carl here on this wholly different approach from President Trump.
Games coming soon, J Money. Games coming soon.
That it will help in convincing Vladimir Putin that a ceasefire, and one very shortly, is really the only way to move forward here and to get President Zelensky to that table as well. The rhetoric coming from President Trump in recent weeks when it involves Russia and Vladimir Putin, some of the strongest.
They're hopping in the same whip. The same damn whip.
That I can remember in covering.
What the hell?
What the hell?
You?
And now his second administration. I want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, because she's in the room where both of those leaders will actually take questions later today. Mary, I'm sure you were struck by this too. Even though the rhetoric had been somewhat threatening, talking about sanctions that would come, instead of the sanctions, they did not come to bear. We're instead seeing a summit on U.S. soil. And it's unmistakable the warmth that you could see between these two leaders. President Trump reaching over, touching Vladimir Putin's hand, shaking it multiple times, and then the smile from Vladimir Putin inside the beast, inside the presidential motorcade, speaking volumes as well.
Yeah, David, seeing Vladimir Putin smile and chuckle isn't something that I think most of the world usually or often sees, and yet that's exactly what we just witnessed as he was sitting there side by side with the president together in the Beast. That was a very friendly welcome. They appeared almost chummy, and that is something that President Trump has argued is a strength of his going into this meeting, why he feels he's uniquely positioned to finally be able to potentially make some actual progress here towards ending this war. He knows that they have this,
The Democrats hope nothing comes of this. They hope. That way they can't give Trump another win.
He has said quite bluntly that Putin often says one thing and does another, that often he will say one thing to him on the phone, on their personal conversations, their one-on-one talks, and then, it will prove to be meaningless. That's the word that President Trump has used. The question today, one of many, has been whether the president will bring that sort of tougher stance into this meeting. Now, based on what we just saw here in that very friendly, warm welcome, they seem to be a bit at odds. But the president has been blunt in the last 24 hours, saying, that he feels he can...
They hopped in the same car, guys. They hopped in the big bad beast.
Because the president has used
pure United States car power, the Cadillac.
Trusted going into this summit, if in fact President Trump really believes that there'll be progress here, that a ceasefire is in fact possible, and the president has lowered expectations.
You guys are grilling me. I don't have a tripod yet. I'm gonna get one on Monday.
Will there be consequences? And the president said there would be severe consequences. I would imagine, having covered President Trump for years now, along with you, Mary, and our whole team, that when you roll out a red carpet like this...
Oh, damn, not that quality, not that pixelated ass shit.
First time in more than a decade for a meeting.
What up, Brent White? Hit that like, subscribe button. I know it's a bit pixelated, but you got President Trump.
At the end of this summit, that will also be quite remarkable to watch unfold, and what President Trump's steps then.
No more shaky lives, eh?
Yeah, it is going to be hard to consider this a win if he doesn't walk away.
They hopped in the same Cadillac beast.
Clear commitment to have a ceasefire and sometime soon. The president has certainly been, walking this fine line. Look, this is an incredibly delicate dance, and while the president has been sort of optimistic that he can make progress, he has also been downplaying those expectations, saying that this is a feel-out meeting, that he's trying to gauge, where Putin stands on all of this. Putin has also been setting expectations. He has praised the president and the administration, describing their efforts as quite energetic, as sincere. We also know he's hoping to expand the conversation today beyond Ukraine, perhaps an effort to distract from what President...
If you guys got any comments, requests, drop some super chats. I hope they are best buddies so Trump can end this war.
Bringing here today. So I think President Trump is optimistic, but he is also realistic, and he has said, by his own admission, that he thinks there's a 25% chance that this meeting will fail, and that he may have to walk away. A win. One could certainly argue for Vladimir Putin.
Mary, Bruce, stay with us here. Martha Raddick. So what President Zelensky must be...
If you guys have any questions, comments, let me know. Drop some super chats, or if you want to see me do 300 to 400 push-ups, I can do it. Drop a $20 super chat. Ukraine had their chance. They'll be there for the next meeting. Don't worry, guys. We are responsible for them now, since we're funding more than half of the war. Double tap that screen, guys. Like, subscribe. That's right. Drop a super chat. No spamming.
That is the key to all of this. Put pressure on Vladimir Putin. Now, what happens in this meeting? Whether Donald Trump puts pressure on Vladimir Putin, we'll see. This is quite a remarkable beginning with the red carpet. And
look at those two best buds.
I can't imagine that Zelensky feels good about that at all. Seeing those images, I just talked to him in June, as you know, David, and you've done it yourself as well. He is very unclear exactly what his relationship with Donald Trump is at this point. It has gone back and forth. He was berated by President Trump. Then they had that meeting in the Vatican and seemed to get along very well. I talked to him after that meeting, and he said he really wasn't sure what their relationship is. But everything he says is for his country at this point. He wants that war to end more than anything. David, I'm thinking right now, and you and I on the air, that first night of the invasion, when Vladimir Putin...
The Democrats are mad because Trump is going to come back to D.C. with a peace deal. And the Democrats are going to be like, Trump never made peace a day in his life. Never. Cry, Democrats. Cry. Look at that. Epic.
President Trump's hand there on the arm of Vladimir Putin. That image being seen by the world. And as I was talking to Ian earlier, Martha, you can't help but to think of the Ukrainian civilians who have been caught in the middle of all of this. We're watching this from a geopolitical perspective, but also the families. And
hit that like.
So many times. And, you know, I don't forget those interviews with
and subscribe button.
Who were leaving with their young children, knowing that their husbands were staying behind to fight for the future of Ukraine. And Martha, I remember, you know, one mother, a tearful mother, saying to me, you know, will we be able to come back? And obviously, as a reporter, I did not have the answer to that question for her, but I know that's the question that we all were sort of greeted with as we arrived there to report on what was an invasion that's now lasted, you know, 3 years.
It truly is, and
Jesus, that noise. What the hell is that noise? Hold the door.
Ian is in Kyiv right now. When I was there a couple of months ago, he's experienced this.
Hit that like.
You go into a bomb shelter. Those air raid warnings.
Subscribe button. Speaking of traveling and travel content, I need every single one of you guys to go check out my new travel video. Not even related to President Trump or Putin, but check out the travel video, guys. Cool. Let's get back to Putin here.
Imagine the Ukrainian people doing this night after night after night. I know you have been to those areas where there were mass graves, David. I have
Ontario, shout out Canada, guys.
Vladimir Putin get off that plane and walk along that red carpet for this meeting. So there is great hope. We all hope that there is a ceasefire of some sort. But I'm also remembering, David, you and I were in Hanoi together. That was indeed a new move on the part of President Trump to meet one-on-one with Kim Jong-un. But that didn't work. That didn't work at all. They ended that meeting within a couple of hours in Hanoi, and that was about nuclear weapons, of course. Nuclear weapons.
You want 30 push-ups, you say, eh? 30 is easy. I'll do that non-stop. 30 push-ups for $50. Of course, I'll take that offer. Drop the super chat. Or I would do $300 to $400 for a $20 super chat. Since someone mentioned it in chat, I thought I'd bring this up.
Bring in Mary Bruce inside the briefing room where
push-ups, yes sir.
Are expected after the summit, after then the working session between the two delegations. They're expected to appear together, Mary, to address reporters from all over the world.
I'm American.
What, if anything, will they have achieved that they'll be able to share with the world that will be watching?
And David, and I can tell you, in addition to the world, that there are hundreds of reporters here, both the U.S. press corps, the Russian press corps.
That would mean I would do 0 push-ups.
President Trump and Vladimir Putin, a rare opportunity. We are hoping to press Vladimir Putin on what progress they are able to make here today. Now, the White House has said it is the plan for them to do this joint press conference. The president, a little bit later, said that would certainly be nice, but he also said if this doesn't go well, he'll just come out here and face questions on his own and then head home. But it is really remarkable to think that the two of them are now making their way to that
New York City, baby.
Discuss the future of Ukraine.
They are in the room now, we are told. We're expected to see some sort of images coming from that room. Mary Bruce, our thanks to you. Between these two leaders, again, they'll have two top-level people from both administrations in the room with them. 3-on-3, they're calling it, obviously 6 people in the room. And as we await those images, I can tell you that on the way to Anchorage, Alaska, you know, President Trump said that if it doesn't go his way, if it doesn't...
Listen, fellas, every single one of you guys, if you have something to say or you want me to read something out loud, I read every single super chat out loud. I respond to every single super chat out loud. So you heard J Money. Hit that like, subscribe button. Comment where you guys are coming from. Go drink your Bud Light, tranny crats. Trump is coming back home to D.C. with a peace deal.
Doesn't go well, I would walk. And Mary alludes to that by saying the president has left open the possibility that he would address reporters from around the world on his own if he has to. He said he's going to meet with Putin here in Alaska. I think it's going to work out very well. And if it doesn't, I'm going to head back home.
Todd Green, Democrats don't got any money, but if you want me to shut up for 5 minutes while you watch this video, sure, you can drop a $20 super chat. You got a deal.
Real fast. The president has talked in the last 24 to 48 hours.
The pixels are real.
Right now, inside.
What's going on? What's going on here?
The sprawling joint base, Elmendorf Richardson. Let's listen to the reporters as they try their best here.
Trump is coming home from D.C. with a peace deal. But if you guys got any questions, comments, you can drop some super chats. I can answer them more in depth. What the hell is going on? Why did the camera go black?
Before, we're going to re-rack to the beginning of those summit before. Exactly who would be in that room. Now we know Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be present as well.
Double tap that screen, guys. Once again, if you want to see boom,
the president's special envoy has been
push-ups for America, $20, 300 to 400 push-ups.
Over recent months, he was instrumental.
I did 160 push-ups the other day. Trump won. Now cry, lefties. If you love America, though, hit that like, subscribe button.
That tone has somewhat softened.
Check out my recent travel video, best travel video on YouTube all summer. No more food stamps. Get a job, Diddy-crats.
A decision that got a lot of pushback and sparked a lot of concern about just getting to the truth of what was actually discussed in that meeting. Now you
the Democrats and the radical leftists and the foreign leftists, they don't want Trump to end the war.
The conversation beyond just ending the war in Ukraine, possibly to discuss nuclear arms cooperation, economic cooperation as well, and trade. So possibly an effort by him to try and distract from what the president wants, which is that ceasefire. That, while he doesn't want to say it, is truly how we are defining, I think, the success of this meeting. Is he able to get progress and any kind of inklings towards that ceasefire? It certainly is what Ukrainian President Zelensky is hoping will come out of this meeting. But the president has also been very blunt that if that doesn't happen, well, he'll just pack up and go home and go back to
my connection's wonky too, so don't worry, guys.
Trump, though, is acutely aware of the power of the images here today. He is also aware of the criticism and the pushback that he has faced, that simply meeting with Putin here today, allowing the world to see these images, is giving Putin a win, but it is a gamble that
if I don't do good ones, you can get your money back on PayPal, brother. You can get your money back on PayPal, Cash App, however you want it. 30 good push-ups, but you gotta drop a super chat. $20.
Members of the Russian delegation saying Witkoff gave some signals that the U.S. would be open to a summit like this. Now we've seen it somewhat hastily arranged. It came together. It's playing out now in Anchorage, Alaska. You'd have to think that both sides here have been in communication leading up to this moment. President Trump has even said in the last day or two that he looks forward to an additional summit during which President Zelensky would also be a part. He said that today they will talk about the future of Ukraine. We'll talk about the ceasefire. And Air Force One, he was asked about by Rachel Scott, our own Rachel Scott, about land swaps, which is something President Trump brought up. President Trump saying they will be discussed, but I've got to let Ukraine make that decision. And I think they'll make a proper decision. But for President Trump to say publicly in these last couple of days that he looks forward to this next step, a summit that would include
Trump and Putin hanging out in the same Cadillac.
Would at least make you think that President Trump thinks going into this, there is room for some ground to be made here.
Yeah, it certainly seems that he's
awesome, Jacob. Awesome.
For another meeting.
Hit that like button, guys.
And remember, the president all along was pushing for a trial out.
People are dying, and Trump is out here about to end the war.
So the president then going ahead with this meeting just with the Russian president. But he has said that if this meeting goes well today, that he wants to very quickly get Putin and Zelensky in a room together. He even floated the possibility.
I cannot imagine the discussion in that Cadillac.
Quickly. And I certainly think it was welcome news for the Ukrainians and for President Zelensky to hear.
That's awesome, Jacob.
Air Force One today saying that those details, what an exchange of territory would look like, what that land swap would entail.
Ukraine will never win the war. Sorry to say it, Ukraine stands no chance of ever winning.
That initial step to really try and get these two leaders to the same table. Ukraine has said, though, for
Trump is a badass. Hell yeah. Hit that like, subscribe button. If there's anything you want me to talk about, read out loud, discuss, hit that like, subscribe button, guys. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Happy Friday. Regardless of your political beliefs, regardless if you hate Trump, if you love him, drop some super chats. Let me know where you guys are coming from. America is back. Rah!
As you can see, President Trump right there next to Vladimir Putin for a photo op. On each side are the members of the delegations that will be in the room with them. We know that Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister for more than 2 decades, will be in the room along with Vladimir Putin. Also, Yuri Ushakov, Putin's top foreign advisor, former Soviet diplomat. He was the Russian ambassador to the U.S. From 98 until 2008. They'll be there with Vladimir Putin. We know Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco.
Hell yeah, Jacob, America.
President Trump.
About time Russia and America join up. Hell yeah, let's do a strategic partnership. Trump is awesome. Hell yeah, brother. He's a badass. Putin doesn't want to meet with Biden. He doesn't want to meet with Kamala Harris. No.
Civilians. Obviously, Vladimir Putin did not engage. The moment we can play you that audio, they'll let me know in my ear, and we'll play it for you. But Jonathan Karl, our chief Washington correspondent, watching these images play out. John, you saw the warm reception on the red carpet, as you point out. President Trump and his team, White House.
Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. He's ended 7 wars.
And so, as you alluded to earlier, this is sort of the home field advantage.
What's up, Evan? How you doing?
The red carpet, American soil, riding in the beast, and the presidential motorcade. Vladimir Putin appeared very happy with that as well.
8 wars now. This is going to be the 8th war President Trump has ended.
Absolutely. And look, Donald Trump has never been reluctant to embrace even pariah dictators around the world. The embrace of
He needs a new prize.
The embrace of Vladimir Putin. The embrace of Hungary's President Orban, the former president of Brazil, the former president of the Philippines. He is very comfortable being face to face, arm in arm, smile to smile.
If you guys have any questions, comments, we can talk about what wars he's ended, why he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. But drop a super chat if you want me to take any of your questions or comments. Seriously, double tap that screen. We got a crazy, the most wild travel video on my channel. Jacob, check it out. Kotor, Montenegro. It's an awesome place. Unrelated to Trump completely, not even politically related. If you want some amazing summer travel content, go check out that video.
On the front of his sweatshirt. This is significant because Vladimir Putin called the breakup of the USSR, the former Soviet Union, one of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century. Russia was just one of 15 nation states within the Soviet Union. And Vladimir Putin sees a country like Ukraine, which was one of the member states of the USSR, of the Soviet Union, as effectively Russian territory. Not just the East, not just what the negotiations are theoretically going to be about now, but the entirety of Ukraine. And by the way, the fear in Europe is that Putin sees much of the rest of what was the Soviet Union.
Love the libtard comments. If you guys actually have any questions you want me to read out loud, talk about it, discuss, Trump is the best president in modern history. In all of your lifetimes, Trump is the best president.
What he's done in Ukraine, he won't stop with Ukraine.
No, Tug Green. You can't even drop the money for the super chats because you don't got a JOB.
As we look at these initial pictures of the two leaders meeting, Vladimir Putin being greeted there in Anchorage, I want to let our viewers at home listen in to that moment on air.
If you guys want to debate with me, join my live with me, live stream with me, join my Discord, link in the bio.
Here's what the president said a short time ago.
I can't tell you that. I don't know. It's there's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what.
That's awesome, Jacob.
They're going to be involved.
You're Montenegrin as well, then.
Zelensky, but I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. You know, we're not putting up any money. We're making money. They're buying our weapons, and we're sending them to NATO, and NATO's sending us big, beautiful checks. But that I don't care about that. I care about it was a big factor when Biden spent $350 billion and got nothing. But what I do care about is they lost last week 7,011 people were lost. Almost all soldiers. 36 people in a town which got hit by a missile. But 7,000, over 7,000.
Yugoslavian? No, brother. I don't know how to speak Montenegrin, Serbian, whatever you want to call it. I'm sorry, bro.
When asked, how will you deem this a success? He said, I simply do not know at this point. We'll see what comes of this. Obviously, the president has said going into the summit, though, that he wants a ceasefire, he wants it rapidly, and that he would like it today, said he would not be happy if he comes out of this summit without a ceasefire. I want to bring in retired Colonel Steve Gagnon, ABC News analyst and consultant. And Steve, you and I were talking before we came on the air here just about where Ukraine stands right now. He joins us from our Washington bureau. And Steve, you've got the map of where Ukraine was before the war and where it stands now after the invasion. Just bring our viewers at home up to speed on how much of the land there in the east that the Russians now control.
20%.
Yeah, David, this is a map that shows 3.5 years ago, where you see here's the totality of Ukraine. Here are the small areas that were owned by partisan separatists in Crimea and this part of the Donbass. Let's move forward to today. We see the region here, it's about 20% of Ukraine that the Russians have taken control of. So this is the front line here that delineates where the fighting is occurring. You can see that here what we have is Russians controlling this part of eastern Ukraine. And if we look about here, we can see what the Russians actually want. We know that Putin has come into these negotiations and he has said, I want the rest of the...
Hell yeah, bro. Check out the travel videos of Montenegro I've posted on here. I've posted a couple of videos about Montenegro on my channel. Hit that like, subscribe button. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything you want read out loud, talked about, discussed, drop a super chat. Or we can do 300 to 400 push-ups for a $20 super chat. Hell yeah, let's get it.
And coal. And so this is the consolation prize. There's no way that Ukraine can accede to this kind of releasing this much territory to Putin. So as the president has said, he's not going to negotiate today on who gets what. But this is what the expectation is that Putin is going to ask for. It will be a very difficult
and he's going to get it.
Because neither Putin can show much leeway and...
we funded more than half of the war. That's why we should just be deciding what happens.
Look at how significant that area is in the eastern part of Ukraine. Steve, leave those circles right up there, actually, if you want to throw them back up, because they're super helpful for our audience.
Okay.
You know, in the east right there, right behind Steve, anywhere where there are stripes along that eastern region of Ukraine, that's where Russia has made significant advances since this invasion. And Steve, all those circles that you just put back on the map, as Steve points out, that's what they want.
Democrats can't even point to where Ukraine is on the map, but they beg for Ukraine to win the war.
Other agencies estimate up to 20%.
Trump should add another wing to the White House to make a room for all those Nobel Peace Prizes. Hell yeah, that shit would be hilarious. Ozzy, are you just joining in? I hope you saw Trump and Putin meeting. It was pretty cool on TV.
Perhaps with President Trump as well, to talk about how to divvy up this land. It's pretty hard to imagine Russia agreeing to give up their desire here and Ukraine agreeing to give up any land that was rightfully theirs before this invasion began.
Yeah,
spam that like button, guys.
It's going to take months for them to come. They may get a ceasefire. Perhaps President Trump will get the next step, which is to get Zelensky to the table. There may be a ceasefire, but a permanent ceasefire is going to take months to negotiate. David, this front line is about 600 miles. So that's roughly the distance between, say, Atlanta and Miami. That gives you an idea of how long this is. This 20% of Ukraine that the Russians have taken over, as you note, Over 200,000 dead. That's what Mr. Putin has to show. 20% of Ukraine for more than 1 million casualties on both sides.
Incredible toll on both sides, civilians lost. When you think about the families, and you've seen the pictures both in Ukraine and in Russia, the families laying loved ones to rest who fought on both sides of this war. Steve Gagnon, our thanks to you. Let's go back to these pictures from just moments ago as we wrap up this part of our live coverage today. Again, President Trump in Anchorage, Alaska, arriving before Vladimir Putin.
Aha, there it is, Ozzy.
Russian leader when he arrived on the red carpet there.
Yes, sir.
Saluting the troops, but also giving a very warm welcome.
Ukraine will have to give up some of their land. They will lose this war. I'm not saying it justifies what Russia does. I'm not saying I'm pro-Russia. I'm just saying Ukraine has lost. This is all coming to an end soon. President Trump will come back to D.C. There's a 75% chance he comes back to D.C. with a peace deal.
Waved through the window of the presidential motorcade, smiling, at least for this chapter.
Because I don't want to give every last dollar of our taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. I sound pro-Russian. Sorry. You can call me pro-Russian then.
A meeting of this magnitude, a summit, and there you see it. Vladimir Putin smiling inside the motorcade. President Trump leading into the
If Ukraine doesn't give up land now, they will lose their entire country. It's up to them.
This is a ceasefire.
That's truly their choice.
A second summit where he has both Vladimir Putin and President Zelensky at the table. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live, abcnews.com. I'll be back with a special edition of World News Tonight, and then we'll be coming on the air of live coverage here on ABC of the joint press.
Ukrainian bots are hella mad that their country is losing the war.
World asking how it went. I'll see you then. Good day.
Ukraine has already lost. They lost 20% of their land to Russia. They already lost Crimea a long time ago. And they're going to lose the entire Donbass region. So it's over.
The tale of two presidents. It may be historic, but it's a gamble. The red carpet rolled out for both presidents, F-22s flanking their walk. Trump and Putin together after shaking hands and receiving a B-2 bomber flyover. Now,
No, they haven't held off Russia. They've lost 20% of their land.
Vladimir Putin has been invited to the U.S. for a meeting with an American president. And now we've learned this one-on-one will actually be a three-on-three. Both presidents will be joined by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy to Russia Steve Witkoff. Putin will also have his two closest advisors with him, his foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, and also his advisor, Yuri Ushakov. First question yelled to Putin from reporters right there on the tarmac. Can the U.S.
Hey, thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that. Long live Yugoslavia.
Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, joining me now out of Kyiv.
I need my dream car, 1986 Yugo.
There in Ukraine. I'm sure this is a tough sight for Ukrainians to stomach.
Yeah, Kira, I think you're absolutely right. I think Ukrainians are sick at looking at these images. Remember,
Well, too bad. Russians were sick of looking at coked up Zelensky.
Have been accused by the United Nations of others of raping people, of murdering people, of occupying illegally territory, of pillaging, of stealing property. Repeatedly, this has been documented by war crimes investigators and others.
Hell yeah, Jacob. The Balkans are the best.
That ordered this invasion, this large-scale invasion 3.5 years ago, is now walking the red carpet in the United States. He's been greeted.
The Polish borders are closed.
Handshake. He's given a personal one-on-one ride in the Beast, the presidential vehicle, in the motorcade, and is now in a high value, a high stakes meeting with President Trump. So yes, Ukrainians will be less than happy at this. They've been living in fear night after night, day after day for 3.5 years. And something in that...
Yeah, I know Yugoslavia is disbanded. I'm in an ex-Yugoslavia place right now. I just made a tourist video in Montenegro, Kotor. Check out the video. It's awesome.
Our chief global affairs.
I recorded that like 2 months ago, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's awesome.
Manipulator. Trump, the ultimate deal maker. How do you see this playing out, Martha?
Well, I
If
think
you
this is
guys
what-
have any comments or
What will
questions,
happen from this meeting? Obviously, this is something Donald Trump wants very badly. We just got a
drop
clip
some
of a
super
Fox
chats.
News interview
I've been to
where he
Bosnia.
said,
I have a
"I
whole
won't,"
tourist
Donald
video
Trump said,
about
"I won't be
Bosnia.
happy
Check that
if I
out.
walk away
I've been
without
to
some
Serbia,
form of
Montenegro,
ceasefire." I
Bosnia,
say this, and I said
Croatia.
from the beginning, this is
So
really
please go
setting
check
the
out
table
my
today.
travel
We're gonna have another
videos
meeting
under
3
my
weeks from
channel. You
now,
guys will love
which will
them.
be
They're
very
not
soon,
political
and
at
we are
all,
not
so you'll
going to
have
any
you'll
more meetings
have
at all.
fun, even if you're not a even if you're a Harris supporter. Kosovo, not yet, but I want to go to Kosovo.
Trump will sometimes criticize Vladimir Putin, and sometimes he will not. Sometimes he will criticize Zelensky.
Shout
So
out the
it's really
UK.
his foreign policy, keep them guessing. But today,
Shout out
just
Bosnia.
as
Great
Ian
people,
just said,
great
for
food, great
Ukrainians,
country.
watching that scene in that red carpet and smiling from the beast is devastating to Ukrainians.
That's awesome, Jacob.
President Zelensky, as you recall very well, Kira, back in February, was in the Oval Office. That did not go well, to say the least. He was basically humiliated in that Oval Office meeting, and then they went on to the Vatican.
If you guys have any questions, comments, or requests, you can drop some super chats. And I listen. I read it out loud, talk, discuss.
Vladimir Putin who invaded Ukraine, for him to watch this now and not be here, and also know that it was Vladimir Putin who said
Dominican Republic, awesome.
President Trump wanted that trilateral meeting, but in the end,
Yugoslavia, is that where you're from?
just Putin. But if they come out with some sort of deal, if they come out with a ceasefire, that is good news. The big question is, even if they get some sort of ceasefire, will it hold? Will Vladimir Putin keep his word, Kira?
Martha, thank you. Ann Simmons, former Moscow bureau chief for the Wall Street Journal. She has been.
This is
in the
for
room with
Mr.
Vladimir
Trump.
Putin.
This is
She
all
has
for
met
Mr. Donald
Vladimir
Trump.
Putin. You heard
1000%.
talking about the hearts of Ukrainians.
Is the deal already done, really? That quickly? I wouldn't be surprised.
Especially when Putin is the one that's responsible for killing thousands and thousands of innocent people. With that said, Anne, what do you think? Is this the way to get a ceasefire?
Yes.
Thank you, Kira. Just say that
Oh my god, what the fuck does she look like? She knows about doing a ceasefire? Look at that big ass nose. She doing more Coca-Cola than Zelensky. She's doing more Coca-Cola than Ukraine's president with a nose like that. Holy shit, get the hell off the screen. Look how much Coca-Cola she's doing. More than the president of Ukraine. More than any politician, more than any Congress member. Look at that nose. That's a Coca-Cola nose. Holy shit. What the fuck?
That he's come with and who will be in the room meeting with President Trump consists of course, a foreign minister and...
She knows so much about politics. Holy shit.
And that tells me...
She's about to breathe up a whole bag of blow on accident.
...kind of normalized diplomatic relations with Lavrov.
Holy fuck.
They're going to be talking about...
That nose is scaring the shit out of me. Instant 8-ball, gone.
And then, of course, that with Ushakov, the foreign policy minister...
A guy, she was at a nightclub and a guy 10 feet away from her had an 8-ball he was snorting and that shit flew up under her nose, 10 feet away.
And where can they align? Is it going to be over Ukraine? And, whether or not there will indeed be a ceasefire in Ukraine.
I can't even listen to her political points. I'm just thinking about all the blow that she sniffs. That thing is a vacuum cleaner. She snorted information.
It's high stakes also for the Russians. Because President Putin, even though he's already won, because he's gotten this fantastic audience in the United States...
This Democrat snorts crayons. Look at that nose.
Yes, we're going to win this war.
She went to President Zelensky's house and she snorted half of his stash from 15 feet away.
They need security guarantees. And that's...
They need security guarantees with that sniffer? That is a dude. That's a dude with a vacuum cleaner instead of a nose.
The Europeans have been trying to push forward for them. It's critical for Europe as well, because of course there is worry that if President Putin gets his way in Ukraine, he's going to go further. And maybe a NATO
He ain't going
country
further.
a threat like Poland or the Baltic states. So this is so significant. This
You
is
insult
so
me all the time,
marvelous.
Mr. Machine, so I guess you the little man, huh?
These meetings.
And stay with me. Really appreciate your insight. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, who's there on the ground.
She accidentally snorted Hunter Biden's entire supply.
Sitting in those chairs. I guess, first of all, Mary, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you what it was like to be in the room. Did either president...
She can smell the future. That is funny as hell.
Yelling at them. Did you get any kind of color from the two presidents in that short moment they were in there with all of you?
Well, Kira, I'm actually in the room. They're expected to be later today for that press conference that we have been told will be happening. And the expectation is that Putin, for now, the expectation is that he will be joining President Trump here at these podiums this afternoon. I wasn't physically in the room for that brief photo availability, but based on what we saw in those images, this was quite a scrum. I think we've all been in those 10 scrums. It was a bit of a scramble for the press to get in there, get those images. Reporters certainly...
Exactly, Ozzy. All he does is insult Trump supporters. He's not even an American. He's never stepped foot in America. Why does he care so much? He cries while his country's falling to shit. Hit the like button, subscribe, guys.
They looked a bit more serious there as they were sitting side by side, but that was quite the friendly welcome on the tarmac. I think you could even describe it as chummy. And President Trump has argued that is part of the strength that he brings to these conversations, that he knows Vladimir Putin, that he knows how to negotiate. He said yesterday that he's not going to, that he doesn't think Vladimir Putin's going to mess around with him. But also in recent weeks, we have heard President Trump taking a bit of a harsher tone with Vladimir Putin. He's been critical of him for telling him one thing and then being misleading and going out and continuing to launch missiles against Ukraine. The big question, one of many here today, is whether the president will take that tougher tone into this meeting, because he's making...
That's because Australia doesn't give a fuck about their own country.
He is defining a
It's
win,
not entertaining, it's not interesting, it's boring as fuck. Go to the beach or go play with a koala bear or some shit. Leave my country the fuck alone.
End this war. European leaders...
Go play with an alligator or a kangaroo.
The president does too. Whether he's going to get it, we will learn at some point here in this room later this afternoon, Kira.
And thank you for pointing out the difference of rooms. Mary, things are happening so fast, from them landing there on the tarmac to being shuffled into that small room to now where you are. I just one more question, if you don't mind, about the press conference that's supposed to happen. Everybody, especially back here at home, is talking about that press conference and if the two presidents will actually come out and take questions from you and all.
I appreciate you, Ozzy. You're funny as hell.
Remarkable if that could happen.
I appreciate Ozzy, man. You're the man. You're the man, Ozzy. You're one hell of a guy. You're funny as hell. And I appreciate you as well, Tom Pepin TV. Eric, I hope we can have our morning discussion and live stream tomorrow morning like we normally do around 6 to 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because, man, we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I will say that. A lot has happened this week. So I hope we get to have our discussion tomorrow as normal, Eric, on live stream, because we can talk about this whole Russian situation. It's freaking entertaining to talk about.
Reporters there, you are there. Do you really think this is going to happen? And if so, I'm curious what your first question would be, Mary.
Well, I can't give that away, Kira, but what happens here later depends on what's happening right now in this bilateral meeting between the two leaders. If they are able to make progress, I think it's more likely you will see the two of them come out here together to tout to the world what they've achieved. The White House has said...
MAGA, good job, my friend. Best wishes from London, England. Big ups, UK. Big ups, London.
Well, then he'll just come out here and answer questions on his own and then head home, which certainly is in line with what he's been saying today and in recent days, which is that if this doesn't go well, he's just going to walk. He's going to essentially, go back to his other duties as president of the United States, and walking away from this without a ceasefire certainly would be viewed as a loss for sure.
All right, and as we approach the 4 p.m. Eastern hour, and now we know both presidents are in the room together, each of them with their two advisors. Mick Mulroy, this is your bailiwick. You've been paying close attention to what's happening here. You have had experience in the room with deal making and negotiations like this. When you saw these two presidents finally land there in Anchorage, shake hands, walk the red carpet, see those F-22s, and then watch them ushered into the room, what were your thoughts, and what do you think is going to happen here?
So my first thought was, if there is a ceasefire, Kira, this is going to be a big win, not only for the United States for setting this up, but obviously for Ukraine. But if there's not a ceasefire, President Putin may have way overplayed his hand, because he might turn...
If you guys want to watch another news source, we can gladly watch another news source. I really don't care about, what news it is. This can be CNN, this could be ABC, this could be Fox. I really don't care. I'm just here watching President Putin and Trump. I'm just here watching President Putin and Trump. That's all I'm here for.
Into an adversary, because they essentially set this up for this to happen, and if he just doesn't...
But if you want to watch another news channel, you can drop a super chat, guys. We can watch any news channel, anything you want relating to this. Just drop a super chat. Tell me what you want to watch. It's that simple. I'm just here to see President Trump and Putin. That's it. I don't care about all this or that. So far, they haven't talked too much shit. A little bit shit talking about Trump, but who cares? They're wrong. And Trump is coming back to D.C. soon with a peace deal and a peace agreement or a ceasefire or something.
Meant to the United States. So I think we should all be hoping that he chooses the former, which is a ceasefire. And of course, it is good to have your key people in the room, like the Secretary of State and like your special envoy.
Let's go, MAGA. Hit that like button, subscribe.
Thank you, and thanks to our entire panel. So glad you're with us. We have continuing ABC News Live coverage here at President Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Our Kana Whitworth picks it up right now. Kana.
And our thanks to Kira and the entire ABC News Live team. I'm Kate Whitworth here in Los Angeles, and we continue now with that special coverage of the high-stakes summit between lay that.
Oh, what's this?
On America, and that everything will depend on this. Now, we do have special team coverage of this summit, and we want to start with our ABC News Chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. She's live there in Anchorage for us. So first of all, Mary, we know just a short time ago here, the president landed in Alaska, that this won't be a one-on-one meeting. Right now, it's a 3-on-3 meeting. Can you sort of lay that out for us? Who all will be in that?
New profile picture, huh, J Money? What's that profile picture? Hey, it's a bag of money or something, J Money.
Around.
Yeah. And that 3-on-3 meeting is happening right now. The president is meeting with Vladimir Putin, a historic, shocking moment, I think, for much of the world when you consider how isolated Vladimir Putin has been from the West ever since he invaded Ukraine 3.5 years ago. And yet, in just the last hour, we have seen President Trump quite literally rolling out the red carpet, welcoming Vladimir Putin with quite a friendly chunk.
That logo goes hard, bro. Are you a graphic designer?
Get to business. And unlike their last meeting, this is not just Putin and President Trump with just translators. President Trump is also joined by 2 aides. So is Vladimir Putin. President Trump has brought in Steve Witkoff, his special envoy, who has played such a critical role in getting to this point. He was vital to facilitating this meeting that is happening here today. He also has spent a lot of time working this relationship. He has spent a lot of time in Russia,
Has
building
he?
those connections and discussing how to.
Should we just put on Fox? I'm getting a little bit bored of this ABC bullshit. ABC is bullshitting a bit. Their live channel is filled with a bunch of bots. Oh, here we go. No more bullshitting. We got the real deal. Not the button I was trying to click. There we go. There we go. Let's watch the real deal stuff going on. Guys, one moment. One moment. Any channel you guys want me to watch. I said all you gotta do is drop a super chat. If you want to watch a specific news network, we can watch it. But other than that, I'll just watch whatever I want. How about that? Does that sound fair to you? Why do the Democrats hope? Why do the Democrats hope there's no deal made? How does people play videos in the back of the green screen? They can't. They can't play any videos. Guys, smash that like button. Let's watch these people, talk about absolutely nothing for a minute or two while I get a drink. How about that? How does that sound for you? Just want a tea real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Let's place the camera right here. Hold on. We're adjusting. The Democrats know so much about everything. Wow, so smart, Democrats. So smart. I gotta switch to the Democrat Party. Now I realize who the real educated one is. What the hell is this? I'm real MAGA. What are they doing? Prepping? They're prepping for Trump and Putin's peace conference. Forget it. We're going to put on a real channel. Hold on, guys. Hold the door. This is just a podcast at the moment. Let's switch back to ABC.
That is all leading to this moment here this afternoon. And then also Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State.
If you guys have any questions, comments,
of this invasion, he has been quite
drop a super chat. We can discuss. We can talk about it. Let me know.
But they bring an interesting balancing act. Witkoff, with that relationship that he's been able to cultivate with the Russians and with Putin himself, and of course Secretary of State Rubio, who brings that foreign policy heft to the discussion as well. The big question: what is going to come of this? And we really are getting a better sense, even just in the last several hours, of what the president wants out of this, what he sees as a success. He's making it clear in talking to reporters on his way here to Alaska that he wants a ceasefire to come out of this. He's making it clear also that he doesn't think it's his job to negotiate a deal. He says, Ukraine has to be at the table for that. But he says he wants a ceasefire coming out of this meeting today, and that will set the table for what he hopes is another meeting soon to come with all three of them, Putin, Zelensky, and Trump at that table.
Right, and it's been really interesting to see how the president's rhetoric has changed, Mary, to now setting the table for that hopeful meeting. You're there, of course, in the room where we also hope that the president and Putin will have perhaps a joint press conference after this meeting as well. What more do we know about the run of day here, Mary?
Yeah, well, that is the expectation. The question is whether or not they actually come out here and answer questions together. Depends, I think, in large part on what happens in this actual bilateral meeting between the two sides. If they are able to make some progress, I think it's more likely you will see Putin come out here side by side with President Trump and answer questions here. I can tell you there are reporters here, of course, the U.S. press, the White House press corps, and also the Russian press corps as well. Vladimir Putin doesn't often take questions from the press, certainly not Western journalists, so it would be quite a moment if this does indeed happen. The White House has said it is the plan for Putin to come out here side by side with Trump. The president himself said that would be nice, though he also said if this doesn't go well, he'll just come out here and answer questions by himself, and then he'll head home. And that's in line with what we've been hearing from him this morning, which is that if this doesn't go well, then he's just gonna move on. And that in many ways would certainly be a win for Putin as well, if the American president were to sort of take a step back and this were to continue without a ceasefire, without a deal, without any future negotiations.
Right, setting those expectations. And Mary, in terms of a possible trilateral meeting, if that were to happen, the president has also been vocal about how he would like that to play out, right? Even having that happen.
Australians get punched by kangaroos. Also
Yeah,
illegal
he
immigrants.
said yesterday that while he thought there was, a 25% chance that this whole meeting will fail, he says if it doesn't, he then does, and they are able to get that ceasefire, then he wants to move quickly to having the three of them finally in the room together. And remember,
My ancestors were Russians.
for this to be a trilateral meeting from the get-go. He wanted this to be Putin, Zelensky, and Trump all coming together. Putin nixed that idea. That wasn't going to happen. So instead, the president here just face-to-face sitting down with Putin. But his hope is that if they can make progress today, if they can get that ceasefire or enough progress towards a ceasefire, enough of a commitment to that he very quickly wants to move to getting all three of them together in the room. He said even possibly bringing Zelensky right here to Alaska. Kana.
Quite a goal there, as we know that President Putin did not want him to be involved in this original meeting. Mary Bruce, always wonderful to be with you. Thank you. I want to bring in our ABC News contributor and former commander of U.S. Forces in Korea, retired Army General Robert Abrams. Thank you for being here with us. And I'd like to start where Mary Bruce ended in terms of a ceasefire.
That is facts, Jay Money. That is facts.
Can you walk us through the different scenarios of what a ceasefire could really look like? What are the certain terms that they possibly could agree on?
Well, Ken, I think, they're going to have to put on the broad parameters. There's many types of ceasefires, right? The ultimate goal would be to have a ceasefire on air, in the air, on the land, and in the sea, in the cyber domain, in the electronic warfare domain. I think that's a long, long reach. So in some of those domains, I think would be certainly a great start. And it would be something that they could build upon, right, as a confidence building measure. So we'll just, like Mary said, we're going to have to see how this conversation goes and how can they at least get a head start or at least an initial start on a ceasefire of some sort. If you listen to the president, right, he's focusing on the death.
Biden's asleep right now?
And the wounded.
We are Slavs.
He wants that to stop. So I suspect that the initial effort will be.
Me and Jacob are Slavic. What are you guys?
To get the Russians and the Ukrainians to stop killing each other.
And you think that perhaps would go into effect almost immediately to then allow for further negotiations?
Well, I think, look, in large-scale contingency operations, a war that, by the way, Russia and Ukraine have been fighting for over 11 years. I'm in the camp of this war started in 2014. So getting it to stop immediately is relative. I'd say probably, within 24 hours of an announcement.
Mango is great.
Remember, following whatever agreement is made between these two
but
leaders,
my mom is allergic to mango.
President Zelensky and the Ukrainians to agree to the conditions, if there are any conditions, to the ceasefire. I think the best case for everybody concerned is a unconditional ceasefire in some of those domains, and then we can proceed to have meaningful dialogue on the way forward.
I'm curious as to what your thoughts are.
Georgia?
On the term
We're in Georgia.
Something we keep hearing might be possibly part of these discussions, as well as security guarantees for Ukraine.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the Ukrainians have been crystal clear in their position that they are. The President Zelensky is not prepared, nor is the country prepared or willing to cede any of the territory that Russia has illegally invaded. Again, going back to 2014, the two eastern provinces, and then of course Crimea, and then everything that's occurred since February of 2022. So that Russia says, hey, that's ours now. The Ukrainian constitution says no, that would have to be a decision by the Ukrainian parliament and ultimately the Ukrainian people. So this is a huge point of contention, Kana, and we'll have to. That's what both leaders have stated publicly, right? Putin and Zelensky. It's different when you're in the room for actual negotiations of this level of importance. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see on that.
And in terms of who's in the room for this one, we know the president is joined today by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as his top military advisor, top NATO commander in Europe. They will be around.
Raspberries and lemons.
It's
amazing.
Marco Rubio, as well as Steve Witkoff.
I love raspberry lemonade, raspberry tea. I love
So I
lemonade.
think all of that preparation happened in the days leading up to this meeting in the last week, and on the ride on Air Force One. If either or both were on Air Force One,
The
that's where that
president of
preparation happened.
Ukraine and Hunter Biden
The
should hang
president got
out.
off of
They would have a lot
that.
of fun together.
He's acting as the president of the United States. He's had all the preparation he needs, and as I think Mary said, Secretary Rubio and Mr. Witkoff, they're there in listen mode only.
What the hell does that mean,
Listen
Superman?
only unless called upon. I think that's really interesting insight. General Robert Abrams, thank you as always for being here with us. I want to now bring in our ABC News contributor and associate editor for the Washington Post, Mary Jordan, along with former U.S. Ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, Daniel Baer. Thank you both for being here with us. And first of all, Mary, the term
I hope not, J Money. That sounds terrible.
In terms of what does success look like for the United States, for President Trump coming out of the summit today?
Well, it just got a lot harder because the images that we've seen, the fact that those pictures of a smiling Trump shaking hands just really increased the pressure on
No more money from the U.S.
Because if he doesn't, and it is a monumental task, people will
for
say this is an
Ukraine
embarrassment to the states, because many people in Europe will not let him land in their country.
You cowards would give Ukraine your house and your booty.
He's the one who invaded a country with a democratically elected president, and he started a bloodbath. So if, success just got a lot harder because Donald Trump has taken a big risk here, and Donald Trump doesn't want to lose. But this is really one of the toughest things to do because people have been shouting already at Vladimir
Biden
Putin.
left a lot of gear.
Well, the reason
when
they're
he-
saying that is
when
he
he
may
left.
say something, as he said, unequivocally, he said there was no interference by Russia in the 2016 election. Well, our U.S. intelligence says there was. So it's a big task. Even if he does agree to something, will he stick with it? Donald Trump, to get a success, it's not going to be easy. But if he does, it's
Trump!
huge.
Hell yeah,
And
bro!
you're right to point out the power.
Hit
of the
that
images
like
here
and
that we're
subscribe
seeing. But
button.
also, Mary, what do you think about the win for Russia here? Is it just arriving at this meeting on American soil?
It's very big deal.
I appreciate you, J Money. You're the man.
Putin controls the media.
Well, Russia is also not suffering from any additional sanctions.
Technical
You know, threatened to be
difficulties,
levied
guys.
on
Technical
August
difficulties.
8th. That day has come and gone, but here we are at this meeting that
We
know
patiently
President Putin
waiting.
wanted and that President Putin did not want Zelensky to attend. And so, Daniel, as you've been analyzing this, is interesting because you sort of have this insight here of perhaps no deal might actually be some kind of good news. What do you mean by that?
That is true. The left said nothing about Biden staffers filming gay porn in the Senate building.
The world. I think that
Sick people.
terms of that deal would be certainly
Biden staff and Biden let people record in the Senate building. No, look it up. I looked it up earlier. It was the first time I heard about it. They let gay porn happen. Hold on, guys. Hold the door. Sup? How you doing? I'm back. I'm just watching this whole Russia situation. What alert did you get?
Vladimir Putin controls the media, and there's a lot of Russian media there, and they're beaming those photos. He's not allowed to land in most places in Europe, but here he is on American soil. Big, powerful Russia is back. That's what this.
Grow up, Mike. Trump is your president. You're 50 years old. Mike is your president. Trump is your president, Mike.
Back there, they're saying things like, are the Americans getting played by this guy? He didn't even give anything up. He didn't agree to a ceasefire.
Where? Cry.
Riding in the beast with the U.S. president. They rolled out the red carpet. But, you know, all of that will go away if something here happens to stop the killing. I mean, as we heard Donald Trump say, just last week, 7,000 more soldiers died and more civilians.
Yep.
So right now, pressure's up on Trump. It's a win for Putin, but boy, this is not over yet. And all of these images where people are saying, oh my God, I mean, is this just a naive American president against a spy master, a former KGB officer who's 25 years been in power for a reason?
This woman is a bootlicker.
So we'll see.
And as we know, Russia is also not suffering from any additional sanctions that were, threatened to be levied on August 8th. That day has come and gone, but here we are at this meeting that we know President Putin wanted and that President Putin did not want Zelensky to attend. And so, Daniel, as you've been analyzing this, it's interesting because you sort of have this insight here of perhaps no deal might actually be some kind of good news. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I want there to be a deal. Let's be clear, a ceasefire would be a big win for the president, it would be a big win for Ukraine, and a big win for the world. I think that the question is what the terms of that deal would be. And certainly, it's very possible that
The Democrats pray President Trump doesn't get a deal because they hate America and they want to see Ukraine continue to go to war. That way we can fund Ukraine's war. Hit that like, subscribe button. Any comments, questions? If you want to see 300 to 400 push-ups, we did 160 push-ups, I believe, a day or two ago for a super chat. Now we'll do 300 to 400 for a $20 super chat. We can do 100 sit-ups for a $20 super chat. Or if you have any requests, comments, they'll all be read out loud via super chat. Please don't spam. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
President Trump could feel tempted to take a bad deal, a deal that goes over the Ukrainian heads, over the Europeans' heads, and violates the red lines that he set with the Europeans before the meeting this week.
Fuck the EU. They don't decide.
President Putin have two very different objectives. President Putin wins already, as Mary was saying, by these images that are going back to Russia and around the world that make President Putin look big. By getting the meeting, he's already won. And President Putin wins if he gets to buy time. He got a reprieve from the threat of additional sanctions by having this meeting. He'd like to buy more time because, as far as he's concerned, no ceasefire is fine because he believes he can win on the battlefield. President Trump has to kind of turn that around and manage to get a ceasefire without giving away the farm. And that is a heavy task.
I agree, Kyle, 100,000%.
And the leaders, let's not forget that Zelensky also has really an entirely different objective as well. And so, Daniel, if there's no deal today, we've heard the president say he will come out, he will address the media, he will go back home. But really, what happens after that?
Time will tell.
Look, he is Freddie Mercury.
To have learned this spring, I think you'll remember that a few
Freddie Mercury didn't die of AIDS. He's right there.
And walk away. The United States remains, whether we like it or not, the United States remains fundamental to world leadership, and the United States.
MAGA Z is crazy, bro. That's fucking wild.
I expect that we will get involved again, but certainly Zelensky and Trump both really want a ceasefire. And so should Russia. I mean, Russia has, according to the most recent reports, possibly passed 1 million casualties.
Ad hominem attacks.
This summer. That's an enormous number. To put that in proportional perspective, that would be as if the United States had 3 million casualties in a war. It's just unthinkable. So President Putin, if he were representing the Russian people, which he doesn't, he should want a ceasefire too to end the killing, and then there would need to be a political negotiation.
Spam the like button, guys.
There's a big difference between a ceasefire and a peace.
There's no question about that. And obviously, people wonder then, does President Putin keep his word?
5 more minutes, unless someone has a comment, question.
We have more special coverage ahead here of the historic summit between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, pushing for a path toward peace in Ukraine. Stay with us. You're watching ABC News Live.
We're going to jump off live stream here in about 5 minutes for a 30-minute break until Trump and Putin go on stage together. Unless, of course, they they, start talking to each other live on stream. What the hell? An advertisement that I can't even skip? What is this? This isn't a YouTube advertisement. Next.
I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick.
Do we got any questions? I'll check it out, Jay. Small technical difficulties. Does this channel have a Twitter? Yes. Euro and Travel on Twitter. Euro and Travel on Twitter, guys. Euro and Travel on Twitter. Euro and Travel on Twitter. And Euro and Travel on Twitter. If anyone wants to be live on my stream, I welcome you. I want to get some live guests on my stream this evening, so if you'd like to join, please join. We got Trump negotiating with Putin right now. He's about to come end this whole situation. He's about to come live on stage and talk to us with President Putin. So let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. If you guys have any questions, debate me. You can debate me. Join my Discord. Message me on Twitter. Euro and Travel on Twitter. If you guys have any final questions, comments, give this gringo a thumbs up. Trump is a peacemaker. He's ended 7 wars. He's about to end number 8. But guys, I think I'm going to jump off here, eat something, eat a snack, refreshments, and then I'll be back probably in 30 minutes to an hour, depending on when Trump goes live. If Trump goes live with Putin on stage, because I'm waiting for this right here. They're pursuing peace. So we're waiting for that. If not, then, whenever that happens, we'll probably come back on live or in 30 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour, depending whatever happens first. He didn't end anything. President Trump is an evil dictator. That's how you Democrats sound. Anyway, guys, I'll be back. I'll be back. Hope you guys liked, subscribed. Check out my recent travel video. It is spectacular. It is awesome. Not politically related, but it's amazing, guys. It's amazing. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Every single person has lied, and if you're sitting here saying otherwise, you're a liar. Peace. Peace, guys.